Tonight we have the story of a woman who nearly lost her future husband to COVID.
But a stranger, whom she calls a guardian angel, walked into her life at just the right time. And you might be surprised at how this story ends. Erik Manges is another face of COVID. Erik Manges was given a 5% chance of living.
I don't really recall much anything.
But his fiancé at the time remembers it all.
So he was flown to Cleveland Clinic main campus, and it was probably maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock that afternoon, that same day. And he made it, luckily.
He was then put on a ventilator. Jennifer sat by herself in the waiting room, waiting and waiting. And then Brent walked in, the hospital chaplain.
I didn't want her to be alone because it is such a terrible feeling to be a family member and to be the only person allowed in the hospital.
So he sat with Jennifer. He didn't say much, but he listened how Jennifer went from planning her Alaskan honeymoon to a funeral for her fiancé.
A lot of the time, it is about not saying anything, not trying to fix things.
When she was finally allowed back to see Erik, Brent followed. Jennifer wanted him to.
It was nice having him. It's like, oh, walk with me, kind of hold my hand.
A guardian angel, she calls him, guiding Jennifer down a long hospital hallway.
I don't know what I would have done without him.
And Brent stayed on their journey, one that consisted of 45 days in the hospital for Erik. He had to learn how to walk and how to eat. He didn't remember how to swallow.
Just breathing again was difficult because, something else, the machine's been breathing for me for, probably for the last 20-some days.
So when Erik started getting better, Jennifer decided to move the wedding day up. Erik was transferred to rehab and had one task from his fiancée: find an officiant. Then Brent walked into Erik's room.
As we were talking, I'm thinking to myself, hey, do you officiate weddings? And he's like, oh yeah, I do. I'm like, all right, how about November 6th? And he's like, man, it works for me. So, he'd be honored to do it. So that kind of just was almost like, a magical moment.
Jennifer was floored.
I couldn't have been happier, honestly.
It was such a joyful moment for me because, again, I have been doing this pandemic for 2 years now and have seen so many bad outcomes, and to see something that we could celebrate.
It was what all of them needed.
It'll never be enough. Just thank you for holding my hand and letting me cry.
Her guardian angel guiding her through her worst moments, by her side at her absolute best.
Brent just looked so happy. Like it was so perfect to have him, and he was just the biggest smile. And to have him there was just wonderful.
And Erik says he has about 80% of his strength back. Both Erik and Jennifer were unvaccinated when they got COVID, but they decided to get the vaccine after their scare. As for that Alaskan cruise, that honeymoon, they are hoping it will work out this summer. Right now, they are just thankful to be married, to have each other, and to have a forever friend and a chaplain who truly helped them get to where they are today.
What a sweet story.
Isn't it? Wow. I love the ending.
Yeah.
I'm always happy when it's a good ending like that. Like to share those kinds of things.
Certainly, these pieces are really inspiring.
Oh, thanks, Russ.
So thank you so much for bringing them to us.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Thanks.